The price of Lego sets go up over time because of supply and demand, right? It goes up over time because after manufacturing ends on those Lego sets, after they retire, then the supply comes down over time. Retailers don't have it anymore, and the third-party market, they start selling out because people are still buying it from them. Over time, that supply that's available will come down. So as a Lego investor, as someone who likes to invest in Lego sets and hold them while the values go up, I need to think about that stuff before I decide which Lego sets am I going to invest in. I need to think about supply, and I need to think about demand. I need to think, are these Lego sets going to be in high demand long into the future? And are these Lego sets going to have abnormally low supply? And that means thinking about the supply of the Lego set, both when it is still available in retail stores. In other words, is it constrained in some way? Is it exclusive to certain stores? Is it selling out a lot? Like, what's the supply look like during its shelf life? But then also considering what it's going to look like in the aftermarket. In other words, thinking about what the third-party supply is looking like. Are tons of other Lego investors going out and buying this set by the hundreds? Because that means there's going to be probably a little bit more supply in the aftermarket. So these are things that we need to weigh up as Lego investors before we decide to invest in a Lego set, and supply is a big part of that. Now, there's two sides of this coin. We need to think about demand as well. And so looking at just one of these is not going to give us the full picture, but we do need to learn how to look at them individually, so then we can combine all those skill sets and pick the absolute best Lego sets for investments. Today, I'm going to talk about supply. I'm going to talk about specifically looking at the market of resellers and Lego investors that are out there on currently available Lego sets, so that you can figure out, does it look like there's going to be really high supply on this? And I'm going to give you some data here that I think is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to look at the Lego themes that typically have, on average, the most supply on Amazon and the least supply on Amazon. Because on Amazon, we can see the number of other sellers that are selling the item in addition to Amazon themselves. And if we look at that data and we look at the entire marketplace of Amazon data, of all of the people who are selling Lego sets on there, and then we just aggregate it all by theme, it gives us a pretty good idea of which themes are most popular with resellers, which themes are more Lego investors getting into versus others. Now, does this mean that just because a theme has particularly low offer counts and low supply in the third-party market, that it's definitely going to be the best theme to invest in? Absolutely not, because again, this is just one part of the story. It's just one signal that we should be looking at. We also need to think about the demand. Sometimes increased offer counts is just because the demand is so incredibly great and the demand still outweighs that supply. So you need to think about multiple different things when you're picking your Lego investments, but today we're just going to focus on that offer count data. I want to share with you some really interesting data. I have the benefit of pulling a lot of data because behind the scenes, I have a membership program in a Discord community where we have bots and deal scrapers and tools and different things like that. And because we run that, I get to see like the entire marketplace of Amazon data because we pull all that data to run our bots. And so it's super interesting sometimes when I crack open that database and just dig into the data and look at what the different offer counts we're seeing across themes and sets and price points, characteristics that are causing offer counts to be higher and lower, and then also looking at the demand data and all of that kind of stuff. So this is the kind of stuff that typically I nerd out on with my inner circle community. Today I just decided to go and share a lot of this data with y'all here on the internet because why not? So we are going to do a tier ranking. This is another thing I've wanted to do for a while, is to actually walk through all of the different themes, Lego themes, and rank them according to some data point in the database. And the data point that I've chosen to do this with is offer count. And that is essentially going to give us a picture of which of the themes typically have the most number of sellers on Amazon, and which of the themes typically have the least number of sellers on Amazon. Again, this does not mean go and invest in these ones right away that have the least number. It's just a signal. We need to also combine it with other signals. So, but it is there's some really hidden gems in here. Like when we look at this data and we start to think about, are there certain themes that are significantly undersupplied? There are some themes here that because of the undersupplied nature of the theme, they are really great themes to invest in and consistently do well over time. So let's jump in. Let's start doing some of this ranking here. So we're going to walk through each of the themes. We're going to rank them based on low supply, kind of low supply, mid, and then kind of high supply, and high supply. So we're going to walk through all of these different themes. I'm going to quickly just give a quick overview of each one and put them in their location, where they fall on the ranking. And so again, this is using average offer counts. In other words, the average number of sellers on each of the Lego sets in these themes. And it's all averaged up. It's the last couple of years of data. It doesn't go further back, I think, than 2022. So it's just the last couple of years. So we're going to rank them according to the average offer count to figure out which of these themes have particularly low supply and which have particularly high supply. Now, I also want to call out that I only really care about this stuff if it is kind of extreme on one end or the other, right? If something is in the mid, it doesn't turn me off the theme, it doesn't get me excited about the theme, it doesn't do anything for me, right? It's when it's really high that I want to see really high demand to offset it and to kind of balance it out. And when it's really low that I get kind of excited and I kind of think, okay, there could be something there. But again, then we also need to look at demand. We also got to think about a lot of other stuff. So that is what we're going to do here in this video, and we're going to look at architecture up first. Now, architecture is going to fall in the kind of low position here. So architecture had around 12 different ASINs over the last couple of years that I analyzed, and the average offer count on Amazon was 28. So that means 28 listings or 28 sellers on average, right? So that's like you could have 50 on one set and 20 on another, but on average across those 12 sets, it was around 28. The next up is going to be, in fact, I think actually this is in the wrong position. So let me move this one down. The next up is going to be art. So art is our first low supply theme. Art is actually really flying under the radar with Lego investors. This is a theme that many people are not getting involved in. As a result, those who have jumped in have done quite well in a couple of places. It's not very consistent, so some sets in the art theme have not done as well. But broadly, the theme has been performing pretty good. And there's been a couple of absolute home runs there that people have missed out on because the supply is super low on it and investors are missing a lot of the stuff that's going on with the Lego art theme. Next up, we have Avatar, relatively new theme, right? We've only had it for a couple of years. And Avatar is actually falling in the kind of high position here because Lego investors have, I think, had higher expectations for this theme. And many Lego investors and resellers have been jumping in on the Avatar sets. A lot of that is driven by the low prices, right? We've had retailers heavily discounting Avatar and trying to move them out. Demand was a little lower than I think everyone expected, the Lego group and the retailers expected. As a result, the retailers have to get rid of inventory and move inventory faster, so they discounted all heavily. We had Avatar sets at half price for a while there. And then resellers and investors are buying them up, right? And then there's the offer count is increasing. So Avatar is kind of high supply. Next up, we have a Botanical Collection. Now, Botanical Collection in my data is actually mixed in with the icon stuff. So I'm actually going to move it down to, let me see, where's icons? I'll do Botanical Collection down here. So that's where that land. And then next up we have Brickheads. Now Brickheads actually is high supply, which might surprise many of you because Brickheads is an exclusive theme. Typically that would mean that it's harder for resellers to get them en masse, and it's, you know, it can lower the supply that's out there. But Brickheads is a very low entry point, right? It's super cheap. Lego investors can get in quickly and easily. There's also, you know, just a lot of excitement around some of that theme in the last couple of years. They've done a great job with bringing different IPs like the Lord of the Rings and with the Disney stuff, and it can generate a lot of buzz and excitement around Lego investing. So it's a theme that's picking up in popularity. We do see it having reasonably high supply, but what I will say about this supply is that this is based on offer count, the number of different sellers. If we were to go, how many sellers have 100 units of this theme, the supply will drop off a lot. So Brickheads is a theme that people generally can't get vast quantities of. So the supply will be broad, but not that deep. And that will play out in the price, right? So the price rising on Brickheads will not be anchored down by high supply. It's just really high supply when you look at the number of seller data. So City is up next, and City is actually a low supply, kind of low supply. So City had 24 average offers across 332 sets. So there's a lot of City sets in the data. 24 average offer. So it's typically kind of low. Does that mean City is an incredible investment or it's a great theme to invest in? Exactly. The point here is just because it's low or kind of low, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a home run investment, right? So you need to also look at the demand. You also need to look at the consistency of this data across the theme. There's 330 ASINs in here. Some of them could have higher offer counts, and some of them will have lower offer counts. And so we would need to go a little bit deeper and think about price points, think about sub themes, think about minifigs versus non-minifigs, like all that kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of stuff that I like to nerd out on. So next up is Classic, and Classic is actually going to sit right next to City here in kind of low. And I actually just spotted a mistake. I actually should have put Architecture here in the mid. Architecture was actually landing on the mid section here. Then we have Creator 3-in-1 and Creator. Now, in my data, these are kind of combined, and they both land around the midsection. So I'm going to put them both in mid. In my experience as well, that tends to be around true. They're both kind of similar. Creator 3-in-1 has a little bit more supply typically than the higher price Creator sets, but I'll put them both in mid. Next up, we have DC Comics, and DC is also in mid. DC has around an average of around 29 offers on around 29 different ASINs that we had in, or when I say ASINs, I mean different Lego sets that we had in the data. Disney is up next. Now, Disney had pretty low, or pretty high supply, I should say. Disney actually lands right here next to Brickheads. And it had an average of 42 offers. And there was over 100 sets. There was 120 plus sets in that data. Next up, we have Lego Dots. Dots is low supply. So Dots is going right up here next to Art. Now, Art actually had lower supply than Dots. So I'll put Art first. I'm not fully ranking the left to right here. But whenever I do spot it, I'll do it. So we have Art is up on low supply, and then Dots is also on low supply. Next up, we have Dreams, and Dreams is on high supply. So slotting in there right next to Disney, it actually has more average offer count than Disney at 44. And then we have Duplo. Duplo, no surprises here, is going to be landing in the low supply. This is always under the radar with Lego investors. So many people snoozing on Duplo. It's right here next to Dots. This is actually the right order. Art has the lowest, and then Dots and Duplo are actually tied with an average offer count of around 17 across the data that I was looking at. So interesting stuff for Duplo, because there's over 130 sets that I looked at. Very low offer count on average. So many Lego investors snoozing on this theme. It can be an incredible theme to invest in. So that is Duplo. Next up, we have Friends, and Friends lands right here in the middle with an average of around 30 offers and a lot of different sets in the data, 280 or so sets in the data. And it's landing right here in the middle of the road when it comes to offer count and general third-party supply on Amazon. Next up, we have Harry Potter. So Harry Potter is going to be in the kind of low or kind of high supply right here next to Avatar. So it is going to be actually a little bit more supply than Avatar. So I'm going to have it lower on the ranking if we consider like bottom right being kind of high supply. So Avatar and Harry Potter both in the kind of high section here. And then we have Icons. Icons is going to be in the kind of low section. Ideas is also going to be in the kind of low section. I'll put Botanical right there next to Icons. Botanical had an average of around 39 offers on the listing. And then we had Icons with 22. So actually Botanical has more supply than the other Icon sets. If we were to separate them out, actually we probably should. I think Botanical will probably go somewhere in the kind of high section actually. Just based on the fact that it had more offer count than the other Icon sets. And it would land somewhere around here. Now, again, this is a reminder that demand comes into this a lot because Botanicals are the most demanded Lego theme right now. So the sales on these things are insane. So even with high offer counts, a lot of that supply cannot keep up with the demand. That is why we've seen Birds of Paradise be a smash hit Lego investment. A lot of the times the collectability, the displayability, the fandom of the Botanical series is going to overcome a lot of that supply. So even if it's kind of high, it doesn't really turn me off that theme as an investment. Then we can look at Indiana Jones. So Indiana Jones is also going to be in the kind of low section here. So I'll slot it in right next to Ideas. And then we have, and that order actually is correct. Indiana Jones had an average of around 26 offers on the listings. Jurassic World is on the kind of high section right here next to the Botanicals. And we have Marvel also kind of high. And we have Minecraft also kind of high. So all three of these in and around the 36 to 39 average offers on those listings with, a lot of different sets in the database. So we have a kind of high supply, and none of this is really surprising to me. Jurassic World has just been hoarded by the Lego investing market for the last couple of years. As a result, the theme has significantly come down in performance. Like the Lego values on those sets, they really haven't been performing like they used to. And Minecraft is the same. Like Minecraft used to be a theme that I loved as an investment, and the last couple of years of Minecraft sets have been the supply has gone up on them, and as a result of that, we've seen the prices not do as well. Now, do I expect that to change over time? I think it's possible. Like the movie's just about to drop. It's fully possible that the movie brings in a surge of excitement about Minecraft and the demand shoots up. Will that mean the supply goes even higher and this actually ticks into the high supply section? Like that's totally possible as well, right? So I'll be watching Minecraft. I'm interested, and I really hope that the demand is so strong on these sets this year that they're phenomenal investments, because I really did so well with Minecraft for multiple years there. And I miss those days where I could just go deep on those sets. That was a phenomenal time. All right, next up we have minifigures. This actually lands in the low supply section. So minifigures, or collectible minifigures, are had an average of around 14. A lot of Amazon sellers are snoozing on the minifigure side, and you have a lot of opportunity there. A lot of people in my community are doing really well with minifigures. Next up we have Monkey Kid. So Monkey Kid, super low. It's actually the lowest of everything that we've got on this tier. So Monkey Kid is being snoozed on as well. Lego investors are not paying enough attention to it. However, we haven't had that much data. There's only been a handful of sets in this theme that we can even look to. So we need more data really to say if this is a massive green light for Monkey Kid or not. Doesn't really mean that these are going to be incredible investments or anything like that. It is just one of those signals. But the supply for sure is low. Lego investors for sure are missing, are snoozing on it. Next up, we have Ninjago. Ninjago is going to slot in the kind of low supply. So the offer count on Ninjago was around 19 on average, quite low. Again, the demand on Ninjago has fallen slightly. I think some of it has given way in the last couple of years to other similar themes, such as Sonic, such as Mario Kart, or Mario, Super Mario. Ninjago is still doing great. Like there's still a lot of excitement about it, but I think the first couple of years Ninjago had more just broader demand than what it has today. And even though the supply is kind of low on it, I think some of the performance has come down a little bit on some of the Ninjago sets. There still are amazing investments to be found in that theme. I've done very, very well over time on Ninjago. Next up, we have Sonic. Sonic is slotting in kind of high. So it's actually come racing into the Lego investing portfolio, because Lego investors are starting to take note. But a lot of it also is driven by the same thing that I mentioned about Avatar, which is retailer discounts, right? Retailers are discounting it, and then Lego investors are buying it because they can get such good prices on it. We had great deals on the Sonic sets last year, and that is increasing the supply. Will that be the sustained kind of approach for Sonic? Probably not. Like I don't see as much attention from just being in the communities of Lego investors on the Sonic sets as some of the other themes. So I do think that this might come down into maybe the midsection this year, but I'll be watching. We'll see how we go. Next up, we have Speed Champions, and Speed Champions is certainly in the high supply section. Now, actually, Speed Champions had some of the highest supply out of everything. And again, this is another lesson that supply is not everything, because Speed Champions can still be really good investments. What I will say is I think the performance of Speed Champions this year is going to be a little less than maybe what we saw last year and the year before, because they've been so consistently good for so long. I think the supply is going up, and so now we see Speed Champions landing in high supply. When I first started investing in Speed Champions, I don't remember what the data was, or I don't have the data from back then, but I would have definitely put it somewhere down here. I would not have put it up here in high supply. I think more attention has been given to this theme with the Lego investing community over time, and because they've been such good performances. And so we're going to see the performance dropping off a little bit. Now, that still doesn't really matter when you can get the sets at great prices, right? Like when I was buying the Supras and the Jescos for $10, and now they're selling for $30. I'm doubling my money, even though they're not at $45, right? I used to get Speed Champion sets with the expectation that they're going to hit $45, $50, $55. I think some of those, like the Porsche 911, like the 6-stud one, is like $70 or $80 right now. I bought them for $12. So like that was the way this theme used to be. The way I see it now is like, even if it takes a little while for the set to hit 40, I'm good with that if I can get them for 10, 12, 15, 16. I know the prices have gone up over time, so it might just be like we can get them at 16 now if you get a great price on them. But selling them for 40, even if you got them for 16, makes sense to me. That's pretty good. But the likelihood is that if you wait a little longer, it could get 40, 45. You could even go higher depending on the set. So you're going to have to pick the right one. But it's about getting them at the right price. That's what's changed in the Speed Champions investing landscape, in my opinion. The supply has definitely increased on them. Still can do quite well on that theme, for sure. You just got to get those right prices. Star Wars is up next, of course, and Star Wars is going to also land in the high supply section. No surprises there. It is probably the most focused on theme in Lego investing. It's not as bad as Speed Champions. Speed Champions has a little bit more supply now than Star Wars on average, but that kind of means like that covers all the different price points. Star Wars has some very expensive sets like the AT-AT and stuff that have very low offer counts, so that drags down the average a little bit. Speed Champions is very accessible and very cheap sets, so I'm not surprised to see the supply is a little bit below, but it's still quite high on Star Wars, and always will be and always has been, because that is where a lot of Lego investors focus their energy. That is where some people just only invest in Star Wars, so I'm not surprised about that. Super Mario is going to land in kind of high. Oh no, in fact, actually, Super Mario is going to land in mid. And again, I'm noticing another mistake that I made. I apologize. Sonic was actually mid. So the supply is not as high. It's actually in the mid. So Sonic is mid with 31 offers, and Super Mario is going to be in at around 31. And then we're also going to have Technic landing in mid with around 28 offer count. Now, the promotional sets I didn't have the data on, so let me put that here. So there's a couple of different themes down here. Animal Crossing was a bit too new for the data. And then some of these other ones I just kind of removed out and didn't have in my data set when I pulled it down. So we don't have those ones. But that is all of the other themes that we care about, right? And where they fall in terms of supply and the offer counts on Amazon. Even if you don't sell on Amazon, this stuff is still important to understand, because Amazon is the best representation of the broader Lego market, right? So it's really kind of useful to look at the data on Amazon. And it's a big marketplace. There's a lot of different sellers on there, so we can see where those sellers are focusing. A lot of them are very big, like, multi-6-figure, multi-7-figure Lego investors. So we can see where they're focusing, what sets, what themes they're showing up on the most. And we can start to think about which themes are in high supply, which themes are in low supply. Again, I know I've said this a couple of times, but I want to once again say this does not mean that we immediately go out and start buying up all these themes. We also want to think about the demand side of the coin. Does art have more demand than Star Wars? Absolutely not. Star Wars has much higher demand. So when you balance out demand with this picture, some of this stuff will actually be better investments even if they have higher supply, because the demand is so strong. And Star Wars and Speed Champions have some of the strongest demand of all of the Lego themes. And then Brickheads as well. So that is where you have... that is where you really need to pay attention, right? Is that we need to cross-reference a lot of this stuff. And then... But we still can use this to shine a spotlight on potential opportunities. Duplo can be a potential opportunity here because it has high demand and it also has quite low supply. Art has reasonably high demand and it has very low supply, so there are potential opportunities in there for sure. I've done very well on dot sets. Many Lego investors snoozing on some of those opportunities when you can get them at half price and incredible deals. Icons and ideas. We know that these themes have some really, really smash hit investments. Ideas has been amazing for the last couple of years. It's not always consistent, but the low supply on ideas often because it's a theme that is, the lack of consistency. Some sets just don't do as well, and then others are just complete runaway successes, can lead to Lego investors sometimes not jumping in on some of those ideas sets, and you have low supply across the board. Indiana Jones, I mean, this is a theme that came back from the dead, and already I'm seeing some phenomenal performance on a couple of those sets. I'm really excited about that as a theme because the demand is high on it, and again, low supply. So I hope you got some useful information here. I know we got pretty nerdy about the data and there's so much more that we could go into, but I broke it all down in a book. So if you really want to learn about all the different things that I look to when I'm picking my Lego investments, my book Winning Set Secrets covers that. You can get it on Amazon, but also I give it out as a welcome bonus for people who take a test drive, a free month of my Inner Circle community. And inside of that community, we do this kind of stuff all the time. Like I made a video for them where I crossed the low supply with the high demand and figured out which are the themes that have both of those things going. And you can check all that stuff out. We go deep on the nerdy data. We have tools and bots where you can go in and analyze sets. We have deal trackers. We meet up every month and we talk about our successes and the things we're doing in our businesses and everything in between. So if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description down below. And once again, when you join right away, you'll get a free copy of Winning Set Secrets, which you can binge on and learn the different ways that I pick my Lego investments. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Shane from breakbucks.net. Make this your year to lift off and be free.